if there's anything that they can take from this podcast is that this is not black and white.
Use the right people, build your team with people that have the wisdom to be able to make some helpful decisions, or for you to make the decision on whether or not you want to buy a horse. I do know that all the little issues that we do see in all these horses are never catastrophic for them. Welcome to Leading the Way, Hartley DeRenzo's podcast that we've had many episodes out already, and I know all the viewers are waiting for each episode new. Today's guest is an important person in the industry, very much so. Dr. Alberto Rullan. He's the founder of, we call it EPXX.
That's right.
It's Equine Performance Innovative Center.
Yep.
So there's a lot of words there. So EPXX is the easier way to say it there. But Alberto has worked on the racetrack since he's born.
That's right.
Basically, and with horses primarily, equine veterinarian. And today we're going to talk about some pretty special things, because with wisdom over time, looking at thousands and thousands of sets of x-rays, and looking at the horse as well, knowing what these horses can live with and what they can't live with on that. So, Alberto, you're on the hot seat today.
I love it.
On horses that don't pass the picture-perfect book-wise x-rays, but in your opinion, to know that certain issues don't ever bother an athlete there. So, tell us a little bit about some of your experiences that you've had and horses that you've seen run with things that don't bother them.
Love it. Well, thank you for having me, first of all.
Thanks for taking the time out, because I know that you're busy during this time.
He's losing money right now.
Let me tell you that I didn't make an introduction. We are here at the 2-year-old and training sale in March at the Ocala Breeder Sales Company, the largest 2-year-old and training sales company in the world. So we have a lot of horses to go through here and available to buyers. And so I forgot to say that. So I just needed to add that in.
It's a great topic for a great place to talk about, because first of all, I have seen horses since I was born, right? Literally, I think my dad says that my mom broke water in a horse. Literally.
And she probably did.
And she probably did, right? But I've been in the racetrack, I've been with a vet since I was officially 12. So my earliest recollection of examining horses with vets is when I was 12 years old. Every summer, on the weekends, whenever I could. And when I was in high school, the racetrack in Puerto Rico was divided, my house, by a fence. It was super cool.
You hop the fence and put on the track.
Yeah, exactly. So, and it's very interesting, because to this day, I remember a lot of pathology, a lot of issues that I saw with the vet back then.
It was like the little seed that was planted, and they're growing now too.
You have no idea when you're that kid. You have no idea how impactful. You're a sponge, right?
You're a sponge.
You have no idea how impactful it is. The things that you see, the radiograph, the ultrasounds, and all that, to this day is still relevant. It's amazing.
Yeah, and today we have better equipment to even get to look at things even a little bit closer, and how come this didn't bother the horse?
Exactly, and that's what I was leading to. Your question is, I believe that sometimes we get put in a very hot seat.
Yeah.
Because we get old investors and new investors, especially on the new investors, and rightfully so. They're paying $200,000, $300,000, $1 million, $2 million for a horse, and they expect that horse to have certain qualities, certain characteristics, certain performance, right? And it's important for us to do a good job educating them on what are they getting into, which is an amazing sport, and it's an athlete.
Yeah.
And let me give you a great analogy before we get into horses itself. Do you know that some of the major quarterbacks in the country, when I was growing up, in college, for example, they didn't pass pre-purchase.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
We have high celebrities that had chip on the shoulders or neck arthritis,
Yeah.
and they became excellent quarterbacks in the United States.
They lived with it.
And won Super Bowls.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, same thing with horses. There's so many things that we see. And nowadays, we can even see them more clear than when I was 12 and we had to look at them in a screen, right? With the light. Now we have digital radiography, which highlights a lot of things. And the interesting aspect of this is that there are so many areas in the bone, ligaments, and tendons that are detrimental if they get injured, and there are others that are not necessarily detrimental if they get injured. So one of the biggest controversies that we have in the industry right now, back in the days, used to be the chips, right?
Right.
P1 chips. You thought that if you have an OCD or you have a chip, it was the end.
Yeah.
Then we figure out
Yeah.
that most of them actually don't cause problems,
Right.
or that we can remove them and have a great prognosis.
Right.
And then now we're starting to get into the soft tissue area. We're starting to define and figure out if the sesamoids are going to be a big issue when they grow up. So we have horses that we start talking about sesamoiditis, and we start talking about early suspensory desmitis. We start talking about a lot of other soft tissue injuries, etc. So there's a lot of things. We already talked about the OCDs. We know that,
and some of them just born and within months they have these and they've developed out of them, and sometimes they just stay.
correct. So if you are new to horses, you should know that horses get something called OCD, osteochondrosis dissecans, or osteochondrosis, which is that that joint, that bone, doesn't fully 100% develop by the book,
In a small area.
right? And one area might develop a small fragment, which could be in a joint or an area that might cause a problem. A lot of them don't cause problems. A lot of them get removed and never bother the horse, right? So that's what OCD is for. Another thing that we start to see is hawk spurs.
Right.
And I have seen hawk spurs as early as 2 or 3 months old
Yeah.
Really?
on horses that are relatively healthy and normal. And we have some hawk spurs that
Develop a little later.
will develop later on. So this is where the history of the horse and the whole evaluation comes into place.
Well, I know that when you do work for Randy and I, and we trust your opinions tremendously, and you say to me the first thing, how much do you love this horse?
That's right.
He always says that. And it's because now we've got to look at the whole picture. This horse is amazing physically, looks like an athlete, bred like an athlete, and so forth. Can we live with these problems, or will the horse live with these problems? And you'd say, yeah. And I think some of these may go away. And we won't even see them in 6 months or things like that there. So I do know that to give you a little more information, we tell you how much this horse fits our program.
And that is key right there, because every patient, every horse, just like every athlete, has its proper team.
Right.
And if the athlete doesn't match the team, it's not going to perform, doesn't matter how
No matter
plain
what.
it is.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And we see that a lot in the NBA and the NFL. Great team play, great players, super healthy, everything good, performing poorly, go somewhere else and perform
Right.
properly. The same thing with the horse. We have a horse that might not fit our program, and so many things come into play: the training, the conditioning, the track,
Right.
the grooms,
Right.
the surface where they train,
The nutrition.
the nutrition, the where in the United States that horse is going to train, or where in the world. And there are some. This is where the team comes into play, because I know that at your farm there are certain quote unquote pathologies that will absolutely 100% never ever cause an issue, right? We have been seeing horses and studying and keeping records for over a decade now, and we know what we can deal with, which is what I encourage to do with every person that purchases a horse, to have a team evaluate the horse and figure out what their team can actually deal with and live with. I have other team. I also work for other teams. Yeah, not a lot. Okay, just a little bit. I work for other teams.
Right.
So I when I work for other team players, other teams, that they might not accept certain things because it doesn't fit their program, or they don't want to deal with it, or they don't have the capacity, the facilities to.
But they may miss out on a great athlete.
100%.
That's the key, is because that's the one thing that we try to measure, how athletic they are. So the only thing we get to look at is the physical, or how they move. And then, of course, whether or not they can withstand being that athlete and performing the way they're going to need to be a champion.
A lot of athletes get missed. Just like the players that didn't hire those quarterbacks, right? It's like those teams.
Yeah.
Right.
They wish that,
They had them after they were winning.
I wish I would have had them.
A horse that comes to mind, though, and I can talk about it now because it's a long time ago, was a great trainer, Sonny Hines. And Sonny Hines bought a horse here at this sale here in OBS with a chip, because probably a lot of other people didn't want him because the horse had a chip. That was Skipaway. He made $9 million in 1996,
Right.
And he never took the chip out because it was in an area that his veterinarian advised him that you may do more damage doing surgery than you will just leaving it, because it's not in an area that's going to bother the horse, and it didn't.
And this is the important thing of this type of education, so we can portray to the buyers that the fact that the horse has a chip, the fact that the horse has a spur, it does not mean that horse will never be a runner.
Yeah, be what we expect or bred him to be.
And in reality, there are some things that will hinder performance. There's so many that will not hinder performance. And I think that the more we know now, I believe that when I started as a veterinarian, I think that every young vet is the same thing, right? We learn so
by the book.
many. We learn the book, and the book always tries to show everything so black and white.
Right.
And in this business, there's absolutely nothing.
Or in any business, probably.
There's so many
in the whole
variables. There's so many variables. Like, for example, right now, today, if you were breathing and you had a headwind, your horse is gonna breathe horrible.
Yeah.
If that horse had a chip or some pathology, sometimes they might blame the pathology instead of blaming the headwind of 20 miles an hour.
Right. And that happens a lot. If the horse doesn't make it, and they say, well, I bought him and he had this issue.
Yeah.
And the issue had nothing to do with not making it. Maybe he just wasn't quite the athlete that they expected there.
The commas do not relate to the price that the horse is going to win, right? The
Exactly.
commas and the price.
No. So the hard part of your job is now, okay, you got to look at the horse. Now you got to do a physical.
Yep.
Because you got to look at him and say, this horse looks like an athlete, and you got to tell your customer, your client, that this is what the horse has, because that's your job.
Correct. Thank you.
To have to say that there, and then you have to say, well, but I feel like, you got to put yourself, you got to put yourself in the hot seat and say, through my experience and my wisdom over all these years. This particular thing doesn't stop this horse from being who we expect him to be.
And the trick with that is, this is the where you should select your team. The trick is that with how many of them have we followed to see. Like we have a software where we follow pretty much every horse and the pathology of the horse and where that horse went. it gets tricky because eventually the horse might make it or might not. But if it doesn't make it, we don't know if it was because of the pathology, or it was because of the throat,
Something
or it
else,
was
yeah.
because of the
So much can
training.
happen.
There's
Right.
so many. There's
Right.
so many. But we try to gather a lot of data, and the ones that actually help us a lot are the ones that make it big, right?
Yeah. Or make it to their best ability. Let's put it that way. They may win for a claimant tag, but that had nothing to do with the pathology. It only had to do with the ability.
Right.
To that level.
There was a very popular horse that one time had a lot of sesamoiditis.
Right.
And that horse made it big.
Right.
And then that horse started changing the idea that hey, some of these horses will make it.
I've read
will
some
make it
articles. I
big.
read Bramlage, Dr. Bramlage come out with an article about horses with sesamoiditis and what they thought the effects were later on and what they believe the effects are now are not near.
Such a hot topic. Such a
Yeah.
hot topic and so difficult.
You can talk for hours about it, couldn't you?
It's so difficult because I have been involved in the purchase and selling of
Millions. Well,
probably
Lots of
tens of thousands of horses.
Right.
I think we did the math. It was about 5,000 per year, something like that. And we go and we see sesamoiditis every day.
right.
And we're looking at these radiographs, and we have to realize that there's a lot involved in that particular area. There's soft tissue, like the suspensory attaches there,
Attachments
and there's a bone with certain level of blood flow. And then the interesting thing that is that we evaluate a horse at a sale. That radiograph was taken any time between that moment and 21 days before that.
Right.
So many things could happen,
And change before that.
Yeah.
but both ways.
Yeah, it could
Yeah.
get better or
it
worse.
could get better, it could get worse. How many times we see a horse, we read radiograph, and we, whoa, that looks a lot better.
Yeah.
Then we have a lot of confidence on that particular case. But regardless of that, a lot could happen even after you purchase it. And I have had, sesamoids are a hot topic because we veterinarians, you owners, consignors, and trainers have had very mixed experiences with them. You probably have bought in your life a horse with very bad sesamoiditis.
Sure have.
Did a home run, became a grade 1.
Yep.
Or you probably
He ran
bought a-
until he was 12. His name was Ronaldo the Wizard.
Yeah. One races at 12.
Won races at 12.
Graded
right?
stakes.
Yeah. Totally failed on sesamoiditis.
correct.
Yep.
Or you can have a horse with very mild sesamoiditis who all of a sudden becomes a trash can.
Yep. Yep.
And it's those are hot topics, hot issues. And to me as veterinarians, it's probably one of the hardest ones to deal with,
To figure out. Yeah.
some of the things that I particularly am very fond of is anything that's to do with chips, with OCDs, with lucencies, with cyst. A lot of those things we have proven to be so good prognosis for racing.
We've had experience with a lot of those too over the 35 years having, I don't know how many thousands of horses that we've had. And we've found that we've had horses with OCDs in their stifles that never, ever showed us any difference at all, training through, never knew they even had it. The horses didn't know they had it. And they went off and did just great and probably still have it by the time they retired on that. And then, of course, you'll see one that may, and all of a sudden is showing you some signs of it. So what do? You try to fix it.
One of the good things that I have figured out with these OCDs, especially the stifles, is that they can happen. You can buy a horse clean at a yearling sale and develop a bone cyst in the stifle by December. A lot of people don't understand that. So that's so important. One of the most important things to understand when you are purchasing a yearling is that a lot of things can change.
Yeah, doesn't mean, especially throats.
Throats can go bad
In a day.
anytime. In a day.
Overnight.
Overnight.
And I would be
Or get better.
a lot more concerned with throats than I would be with.
I was going to ask you that question. If you had only one thing to choose,
I would just look at the throat. I really would.
exactly. That's
Right?
what.
I would
That's what we say too.
just look at the horse. If there's nothing else, no information, just at least give me a scope.
Yeah, let's take a look, see if they have the air,
look at this.
the oxygen to be able to perform.
Because the bones, you can see them, right? You can evaluate them and see them walk, see them trot, and you get an idea if the horse has some clinical signs.
And
or
I'm
not.
sure there was a ton of horses that we had sold and purchased back in the early days, but we only did knees and ankles.
Yes.
We didn't even do stifles or hocks or, when people come to purchase a horse, it was knees, front ankles and knees, and that was it, and a scope.
And a scope. That's
The
all they would
first
do.
time somebody x-rayed a stifle, I called Dean and I'm like, oh my gosh, these people are x-raying the horse's ass. They
wrong
really
way.
want this horse. I don't know what they're doing, but they want it. So I'm sure a lot of those horses that went on to be great race horses, because even like when Silver Charm, those days it was still knees and ankles. There was no other x-rays of any part of the horse.
We'll have to be almost the Triple Crown winner.
I recently went to another country to teach vets about this topic, and they don't x-ray stifles.
They don't.
They don't x-ray stifles.
Yeah.
They say we just don't see issues with stifles, so we never x-ray them.
And
Because to me, if you have a stifle they either bother them or they don't. So if that stifle's bothering them, you're going to know it.
then you're going to look.
You're going to look.
Yep. So, I wanted to bring across to our viewers that it's very important to hire professionals to do their job and to take a look, especially after you pick the horse, and to feel this is the horse by its ability over the racetrack, its physical, how it walks, and so forth. But there is no yes or no after that. Now
yes or no.
it becomes sort of a gut feeling, and let's see where these things are. We've gotten very, very good with technology to be able to see so much anymore that we almost
Too much.
Yeah, almost too much. Yeah,
Too much.
I wanted to say almost too much because the horse is like skip away. Goes off and becomes. So many people probably passed and said, "No, I don't want that horse. He's got a chip." And to be honest, he cost $30,000. So I bet you a lot of people didn't try to buy that horse. And he turned out to be the horse. He was champion, I believe, 3 years in a row.
Look at that. Look at that. I think it's at some. It's. I don't know if it's. You tell me. You think it's getting worse or better on terms of our awareness? Because I think that we are getting really good at gathering data, and.
Well, it depends on who's reading it.
And yeah, okay.
As a consignor, when I see a trainer come in and they use a veterinarian that has had the experience of looking at horses throughout horses' careers, I'll give you one like Steve Alday. Dr. Alday, I feel, is a brilliant veterinarian and has seen horses all over. So when he comes and vets a horse, he's already going to know this isn't going to bother him. This may bother him. And so there is no yes or no right away there. So in those cases, it gets better. And then there's maybe a new buyer that may hire a veterinarian that doesn't quite have that wisdom or experience, is a little afraid to say yes.
Yeah.
To a horse. And then they get to miss the top horse they picked, or their agent picked, let's put it that way. Their advisor.
Well, what happens to me sometimes, I get too comfortable. and
We can fix that.
Right? We get too comfortable. And even though once in a while, you're going to get a horse that's not going to make it. That's going to happen.
Yeah.
But
That's going to
there's
happen.
so many, like you said, so many variables that don't let them make it that may have nothing to do with that. I mean, last year, the horse that you vetted for us, and we knew what he had, and he didn't sell for a lot of money because of his issue. We got to go to the Derby. We got to qualify to the Kentucky Derby with.
That was fun.
And that particular radiographic issue had nothing to do
Nothing.
with any stopping of the horse racing
No,
at all.
absolutely not.
So those, I like how, and I hope to think that when we kind of educate our future buyers or future people that want to come into the sport, to know that this is not black and white.
No. if there's anything that they can take from this podcast is that this is not black and white.
You use the right people, build your team with people that have the wisdom to be able to make some helpful decisions, or for you to make the decision on whether or not you want to buy a horse or a particular horse or not. There, I do know that all the little issues that we do see in all these horses are never catastrophic for them. Never. I mean, we surely would know if one's gonna, God forbid, a leg breaks off, like that. That would be an easy one to see.
I think that those probably get weed out.
Yeah.
Very early.
Yeah, we probably never get to see those.
Yeah,
those get weed out very early nowadays.
Yeah, we never get to see them because you can write so much on a paper, couldn't you? You can really pick one apart and have a tiny little this and a tiny little that, but God makes them.
That's right.
These are not made in a factory.
Yeah. and just to bring some controversy to the topic and some new information.
Yeah,
we have been.
That's what we like.
We have been starting to discover that a lot of those injuries that a lot of those findings in the lower legs might not be nearly as important as things that we see in the neck and back.
Right. That we don't
ever X-ray the neck and back.
Right.
And that's interesting. Where are we going to go? Because you asked me earlier, okay, where if you don't have anything else? Well, I get a scope. But then now thinking back, I said, well, what if I can get a scope and some neck X-rays?
You can't get it all. You get one thing.
So that is also a very, very interesting topic on that should be brought up. That there are neck things that will bother me a lot more than chips, than sesamoids, than anything
totally
else.
Changes their balance, their complete balance on how they land. Now they may have other issues come to fractures and things like that because of the neck.
Yes.
Because of how they load on them. So we know that too from an old time story on when the Green Monkey, after they purchased him, and he went head over heels and he cracked some vertebrae in his neck, and when they couldn't race him,
and really couldn't find out what had happened until he got to the farm.
And then they found out,
and we found it.
We got him back, and he couldn't mount a mare. He had no balance until he finally healed up. It took a year for him to mount a mare on that, and all from the neck issue. When you get onto that, well, I mean, we can probably talk about this for days and days and days, but we want to be as smart as we can be, and yet we can outsmart ourselves.
100%.
On that. But you as a veterinarian, and a lot of other veterinarians that are great out there, have to explain everything because that is your job. We have to make
an educated guess with some information. That's why I created what I did. So I created first we have this software I just told you, right? We have all tens of thousands of pre-purchase examination in that software and the results of the examination itself. And now what I have also created throughout the years is an album of radiographs with findings and normals. So anybody, trainers, owners, any equestrian that wants to see what it looks like can get in that free webpage, which is equinearthritis.info.
Oh, yeah.
So equinearthritis.info will give them a big compilation of radiographs and also what the research says, whether that's important or not, and what can they do about it.
Right.
And here we have the chips, the OCDs, the bone cysts. We even have one for throat.
Right.
And anything that we have gathered throughout the years, common and uncommon, so that the information is out there and they can make some smart decisions on the purchase.
I recently, that may be a year ago, I read another article that Bramlage had put out, which I believe he does also a lot of research on to see how horses and some horses that have injuries off the racetrack, and he found a correlation that he had more injuries off a racehorse that horses were not trained at 2.
Yes.
That they waited till they're 3 to train, thinking maybe it was better and let them grow up. But horses that trained at 2 were sounder horses at 3 than the 3-year-olds were.
Yes, because they probably build more bone.
There's a bone development phase that is critical for these horses.
Right.
That they need to go. That should be not questioned by now. Because I know that once in a while we go through phases, right, where people want to, okay, no, maybe we should wait till 3-year-old, etc. I do believe that they develop really nice bones early on.
And so, there's so much involved in the whole process of the veterinary inspection and things like that. And like I said, to our viewers that don't know anything about this here, our advice would be, to make sure who you hire, it has the right wisdom experience, or at least can reach out to certain other people that may have that.
100%. And I also think that the owner, trainer should actually be inform himself, should do the research
That's right.
himself, so that they can make a smart decision on the purchase, and they're not at the effect of what we tell them.
Right.
Like I love when I there are multiple things that I love on a purchase of a horse. One, they say, let's have 2 or 3 vets look at this horse. I say, yes, great. Love when that happens. And another thing that I love is that the owner himself or the buyer himself has done so much research that we can have a smart decision about the purchase and about the findings.
And if they didn't want to, they have an advisor that does.
Yes.
Right.
That can give them the answer that way if they don't, want to just enjoy the sport and not have to be involved and hire the right people to do that.
That way there are 2 heads, more than one head.
Yeah.
More than one head working on the purchase.
Yeah. And I noticed that you do that all the time. Let's confer with this other veterinarian or this
one.
We
do.
I was just recently talking to another trainer and say, I just learned so much from you guys. I learned so much because you have been in the industry for what, 5 years?
And plus 30.
Right? You've been in the industry for so long. And I learned so much from trainers. You see so many horses throughout the years. I gotta get that. I gotta be a sponge for that information and learn from it so I can pass it along. Collaboration is the best way. There's nothing worse in the world than just getting stuck on one piece of information or one book or one web page or one podcast.
Yeah. But with having a podcast gives these viewers an opportunity to hear how this goes down, what we should do or what they should do on that. I know that even when we don't have an involvement in a horse, I may ask you some questions about a horse, whether this problem, or I'll say to you, hey, have you had any unique things that you can tell me about? Just because I want to know, I want to learn a little bit more. And we never stop learning.
Never.
I mean, it's just amazing that the brain wants to keep sponging more and more information. And we add them all together and come up with answers.
That's the way it should be, right?
Like that. So at your center, though, I know that you do a lot of rehabilitation, not just the veterinarian that takes x-rays or goes to a racetrack and gives Lasix when they have to or whatever that may be there. So learning about rehabilitation is you get to see this the problem and the solution. That's a big plus.
It's a huge advantage. In the last 10 years at Epic, we have learned so much.
Yeah.
We have learned so much that it completely have changed the way I look at horses from 10 years ago versus right now.
I bet
completely have changed.
I bet, because in your mind already know, all right, this is going to get better because these horses have gone this way. And then you have equipment, hyperbaric chambers, surgery facilities, things like that immediately can get things done.
That's what can get a little dangerous for me because sometimes I'm looking at a horse and that should be fine, right?
Yes. But it's not dangerous to us as your client, because now we can buy the right horse. Everything's not really about buying the bargain. it's about buying the right horse. And that's what we look for. We're not really looking to save a few $1,000s on a horse. We're looking to get the right horse, so that we can sell the right horses. And that the only way that we were able to sell the amount of graded stakes winners and stakes horses that we have was because they evidently were the right horses.
Correct.
You know?
Correct. Get the right horse and then give that horse all the chance
That's right.
that it can in order to
Then you go
to
through
become
correct
to
racetrack, the footing, the
nutrition.
everything else that goes with it. But you know, I look at a lot of different practices because my interest is so strong in it and my passion, and I think about, you know what, Alberto's practice gets to see the start and the finish.
Yep.
Most other practices see the problem and then it gets sent off, and they never get to see the finish. So they don't really know how it ended up because they get busy and they're working for so many people, trying to keep all their people happy on that, and don't get that opportunity. That's pretty blessed opportunity.
We have tried to do the math.
But every day you make your mortgage payment, it's probably not as blessed as you think it is.
It gets easier every year. But one of the things that we have realized is that we are probably no more than 5 centers in the whole country that actually can get a horse from injury to athletic performance.
Yeah.
Right? And including from the injury, whether it's a ligament or a fracture repair or needed a surgical repair, all the way back then to athletic performance. And that has given us a huge amount of knowledge,
But you know, the knowledge you have, and then it stays in your storage bank right between your ears.
No, we pass it along.
Yeah.
We pass it along.
But the advantage you have for the next spot, to know where this is going, and that's like what I'm talking about. That is so great to have that ability. You probably don't even realize it because it's an everyday job for you. Meaning, you go to work every day and you have all these pieces of the pie and you can put them all together.
We don't realize it until our interns go somewhere else.
That's right.
And then they call.
Yeah.
And then like, wow, thank you so much. We had no idea that we had all this every day.
Yeah.
It just happened to us recently.
Yeah. Because you get a lot of odd, well, you probably get more odd cases than most people because you figured out odd cases. So then all of a sudden they want to send them to you.
We get some really, really odd cases where most vets have told them to put them down. And that's kind of how we started. All disciplines. That's kind of how we started. There's a lot of, we do a lot of outside the box thinking. We do a lot of innovative things. That's what we call innovative center, right?
Equine innovation.
Yes. And there's a lot of leaders in the equine veterinary industry that still don't believe the things that we do, or never were exposed to what we're doing over there. And
they don't believe it because they haven't been exposed.
Correct.
Yeah. As soon as they got exposed, then they'd have to believe.
Yes.
Because, what is.
They just haven't been exposed. For example, we recently did a conference on a hyperbaric oxygen chamber conference. And I was exposing all our cases. And people were like, jaw drop, right? Like, wow. But then I was jaw drop when I heard the armed forces research, where they were doing research with people with PTSD.
Really?
And they were proving with the MRI proof the brain injuries on soldiers that bombs exploded next to them.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were doing MRIs as they progressed through the treatment. But that was not as impressive, even though you saw the results. What was impressive was their wife and family talking about the changes that these soldiers were going and how it has changed their life.
Yeah.
That was jaw-dropping, right? Yeah. How it's actually changing the life that families work. So what I was able to do then is like, wait, I'm going to use their protocols to improve our protocols.
Yeah.
And that's what we did.
Mm-hmm.
And then now we use protocols that were developed by the armed forces for soldiers with PTSD, so we can help horses as
Bring it
well.
on into our industry.
Yes.
On there. I mean, our industry is thoroughbred racing. Yours is equine, period. So, Alberto, when you have different disciplines coming to you, you get to see different injuries. You know, thoroughbred races on a flat track, different than jumping horse or rodeo horse or Pasifino, whatever those different breeds have different disciplines. Can you relate any of the same injuries to with different disciplines?
100%. The first thing is that common things happen commonly, right?
Right.
So common things on the thoroughbreds will happen commonly,
Right.
on the thoroughbred. However, I recently admitted a horse at our rehab center that had a very odd pathology. Oh, 2 horses actually. Very odd pathologies, and these pathologies are more common in jumpers.
So you may have not looked at it in a racehorse.
Correct.
Or looked at that area.
I would have never thought of it.
Right.
I would have never thought of it.
Till you've seen it in a different discipline.
Racetrack. Yeah, if I was at the racetrack and I was seeing multiple horses back to back, I probably would have missed it. Especially because the horse does have a core lesion. He has what we call a small tear in the superficial digital flexor tendon, which is a very common pathology in racehorses, right?
Right.
But he has something completely different that's bothering her, is bothering him way up in the leg. That has absolutely nothing to do with that tendon. So I could have been completely confused.
So you were thinking it was maybe that.
Yes, I would have treated that. We could have treated that horse for the superficial digital flexor tendon for 9 months.
But it wasn't the origin. It wasn't the pain site.
That was not the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Told you you're blessed.
Interesting. yeah, interesting you brought that up. I probably never really thought about
bless,
it.
he's embedded.
That's right. That's right. He's innovative. We're going to change that to being innovative. Well, because now we have 3 different surfaces we race on, and synthetic, turf, and dirt.
Yep.
So each surface puts different pressures in different areas on horses, and so I was wondering that when to get the experience to see other injuries, we only had synthetic for
Not too long.
Not too long, so we haven't had a full bank of horses with maybe different, muscle injuries or things like that we have to address and find. We have to find them like that. So,
and that particular science there, that needs a lot of investigation, a lot of research on that, on the different surfaces and the different injuries, etc. That's very in its infancy for sure.
So,
well, and you're very blessed too, because you can not only look at the radiographs, but you also can
read the scan.
X-ray.
Nobody's better.
Ultrasound.
No, I think that those
the ultrasound. So you can do. A lot of people can just do the ultrasound or just do the X-rays. For whenever you can do both, and you've seen both so much, it just puts you so much further ahead.
It really helps us a lot. It helps us a lot. There's so much, and I think I have someone very, very important to thank for that. There's a guy called Jean-Marie Denois, and he has really helped me a lot to get the ultrasound skills to a whole different level.
Yeah,
and that's pretty amazing.
Because they can be tricky.
Yeah, the ultrasound. Ultrasound is very tricky, but he has been so passionate about passing his knowledge forward and teaching a lot of us, and being able to see some things that we were not able to see in the past, and to also see some things that many other people don't get to appreciate.
Well, I think learners enjoy learning so much that they like to teach also, because they know what it feels like to learn. So, when you're a sponge, you also like to show and share it.
Yeah, because you get to go to, say, Kentucky and look at X-rays, and you see something, you're like, oh, let me go ultrasound this.
100%.
So then you get to see the whole thing, and then you get to see the horse itself. So then, seeing the horse, seeing the ultrasound, and seeing the X-ray, you can make a better decision for your buyers.
Instead of seeing one two-dimensional picture, we have a full dimension. That's 100%.
Right. And to know what you have when you're doing that, you can then work on them, because things do heal. Things are fine after a while in a lot of cases.
one last point, such important point that you just made over there, because when you have that information, you could be so proactive on how you treat that animal, how you prevent that animal from getting injured, how you train him, so proactive about it.
Right. So we, again, not missing out on this particular athlete that's born on this earth for us to, hopefully see their ability all the way through to the champion on that. I mean, we just love to see horses go off and do great. That's
what they want to do.
Yeah, that's what they want to do, and we jump up and down and get so excited about it on that. But anyway, we are going to wind up our podcast with Dr. Alberto Rullan.
That was fast.
On that. It feels like it is, right? And so we're going to have to do episode 2, episode 3, episode 4, and we're going like that. But if you like what you've heard and watched on that, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, Leading the Way. You can like us on Facebook, and you can follow us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram. And any information that you may need from Dr. Alberto Rullan, I'm sure that he'd be able to share some of that knowledge.
Feel free to call us. Just call us 352-307-3690. Anything you need, 352-307-3690, and we'll answer any kind of question that you have.
And just so all the viewers know, this is not a paid program.
This is from the bottom of our heart.
But I do want to thank you, Dr. Alberto, for everything you do for us.
Thank you.
It means a lot, and you might not remember this.
And your team.
But I remember you telling me a story about how you wanted to become a vet.
Yeah.
And that always has meant something to me.
Yeah. Always.
Yeah, when you saw that horse.
Yeah.
And but I had said to Dr. Alfredo Lucio yesterday, I said, have I thanked you lately for how much you do for us?
Alfredo's an amazing person.
And he said, you don't have to thank me because I can't wait. I look on the calendar for the day I'm coming to your place. Yeah. That's what he said.
That's an amazing story. That is just someone
we go back a long way
to admire.
Yeah. But I again, if you like what you've heard and like to listen to Leading the Way, then just join us and subscribe to us on YouTube.
Bye-bye.